What if the dead don't stay dead in the Yellowstone universe? Asterisk, what if love stories don't end with a goodbye but with a comeback? Asterisk, there's a storm coming to the Dutton family timeline, and her name is Alexandra. Asterisk, rumors are spreading fast. Whispers of a return, a resurrection, maybe even revenge. Asterisk, and at the center of it all is Julia Schlaepfer, the actress fans thought they'd seen for the last time in 1923. Asterisk, but what if she's not gone? What if she's coming back in Yellowstone, 1944? Asterisk, let's take a look at how that might just happen and why her return could change everything. In the 1923 series, one of the most unforgettable stories didn't happen on a ranch. It didn't involve cattle or gunfights, or at least, not at first. Asterisk, it started on a ship. And it started with her. Asterisk, Julia Schlaepfer played Alexandra, a wealthy young woman from England who threw away her life of comfort and duty to chase something real. She chose love. She chose Spencer Dutton. Asterisk, now Spencer Dutton, played by Brandon Sklenar, wasn't just any Dutton. He was a haunted man shaped by war, fighting beasts in Africa, and trying to outrun the ghosts of his past. But when he met Alexandra, something changed in him. Their connection was instant, powerful, and for many fans, more emotional than anything we'd seen in the entire Yellowstone universe so far. Asterisk, Alexandra was strong. Not just beautiful and charming, but brave. She left behind a wealthy fiancé, ignored the rules of society, and ran straight into the unknown with Spencer. They had no idea where the road would take them, but they knew they had to take it together. Asterisk, from African landscapes to European train cars, to battles at sea and even shipwrecks, their love story felt like it belonged in a different kind of show, a romantic epic inside a violent Western saga. Asterisk, but then came tragedy. In one of the most heart-wrenching twists in 1923, we were led to believe that Alexandra may not have survived. Whether lost at sea, separated by fate, or simply faded out of Spencer's life, the show never gave us a full answer. Her fate was left hanging in the air like a promise broken in silence. Asterisk, fans were devastated. Many held on to hope. Some were angry, calling it unfair to give us such a deep love story only to end it without closure. Asterisk, but here's the truth. In Yellowstone, nobody's ever truly gone until the story says so. Asterisk, and now there are signs that Alexandra's story might not be over. After all. Asterisk, Julia Schlaepfer could be coming back, and it might happen in Yellowstone 1944. Asterisk, but before we get to that, let's take a closer look at what we know about this mysterious new prequel and how it fits into the Dutton timeline. To understand how Julia Schlaepfer could return in Yellowstone 1944, we need to first understand what 1944 actually is and where it fits in the ever-growing Yellowstone universe. Asterisk, if you've been keeping up with Taylor Sheridan's vision, you know that Yellowstone isn't just a single story anymore. It's a universal legacy passed down through generations of the Dutton family, starting in 1883, continuing in 1923. And eventually leading us to the modern-day saga with John Dutton and the Yellowstone Ranch as we know it. Asterisk, but there's one piece of the timeline we haven't explored yet. A missing link, a chapter where history, war, and family collide. That's where 1944 comes in. Asterisk, Paramount officially confirmed that Yellowstone 1944 is happening. We don't know every detail yet, but what we do know is enough to raise eyebrows and questions. Asterisk, the year 1944 is no accident. It's the middle of World War II. America was deep in global conflict. Men were being drafted. Families were being torn apart. And the Dutton Ranch, it wouldn't be spared from any of it. Asterisk, now think about this. The characters we met in 1923, like Spencer Dutton, would still be alive in 1944. They'd be older, wiser, and probably even more broken by time. That means Spencer could return in 1944, and if he does, is it really that crazy to think Alexandra might come back too? Asterisk let's do the math. Asterisk if Alexandra survived the events of 1923, she'd only be in her 40s by the time 1944 takes place. That's more than enough time for her story to continue. Maybe she made it to America. Maybe she lived a quiet life, waiting for Spencer to come back. Or maybe she became a part of the Dutton legacy in ways we haven't seen yet. Asterisk there's also another angle fans are considering. What if she doesn't come back in real time but in memory? Asterisk Taylor Sheridan loves to use flashbacks. In Yellowstone, we've seen young John Dutton. In 1883, we saw the early roots of Montana's blood-soaked history. So 1944 could easily show us pieces of Spencer's past, his regrets, his love, and his losses. That opens the door wide for Julia Schlaepfer to return in flashback scenes. Asterisk, but here's where it gets more interesting. Asterisk, some reports have hinted that 1944 might include scenes in Europe. Why? Because World War II wasn't just fought on American soil, it was global. And if Spencer or someone in the Dutton line finds themselves overseas, the chance to cross paths with Alexandra becomes much more believable. Asterisk, could she be involved in the war effort? Could she be living a new life across the ocean, never knowing if Spencer survived? Asterisk, or the boldest theory yet, could she be hiding something? Asterisk, the timeline lines up, the emotion is there. The mystery is alive, and the fanbase, they're ready. Asterisk 1. Thing is clear. Yellowstone 1944 isn't just a continuation, it's a reckoning. And if Alexandra returns, it's not just for drama. It's for closure and maybe even redemption. Asterisk, coming up in the next section, we'll explore the most popular fan theories about how Julia Schlaepfer's character could return from faked deaths to new identities, even to haunting memories that won't let go. Asterisk, now let's dive into what fans are really buzzing about the theories. Asterisk, Julia Schlaepfer's character, Alexandra, made such a deep emotional impact in 1923 that many people just can't believe her story is truly over. And with Yellowstone 1944 on the horizon, the door to her return is wide open. But how could it actually happen? Let's break it down. Asterisk, think back to 1923. Alexandra and Spencer faced so many life-threatening moments, shipwrecks, fights, even betrayal on a train. But the show never gave us a confirmed death, no funeral, no body, no final goodbye. That's not just a coincidence, that's a creative decision. Asterisk, Taylor Sheridan is known for playing the long game. If a character doesn't get a proper send-off, it usually means their story isn't finished. Alexandra could have survived one of those near-death moments. Maybe she was rescued. Maybe she started a new life under the radar, waiting for Spencer. Or maybe she was separated by war, distance, or fate and has been trying to reunite with him ever since. Asterisk, in this theory, Yellowstone 1944 could show us that Alexandra never gave up hope. That she never stopped loving Spencer. And when we see her again, it could be a beautiful, heart-wrenching reunion or a painful reminder of what could have been. Asterisk, imagine 1944 begins with an older Spencer Dutton scarred by time, hardened by loss, looking back on his younger days. Maybe he's writing a letter. Maybe he's remembering the woman who changed his life. Asterisk, that would be the perfect moment to bring Julia Schlaepfer back on screen, not as a living character in the current timeline, but as a memory. We could see scenes that were never shown. In 1923, their private moments, their promises, their final goodbye. Or maybe, just maybe, we see a different version of what happened one where she made it out alive. Asterisk, this kind of return would give fans closure. It wouldn't undo her possible death, but it would complete her story and give Spencer's pain real meaning. It also gives Schlaepfer space to perform again without changing the past, just expanding on it. Asterisk, what if Julia Schlaepfer returns? But not as Alexandra. Asterisk, it's not unheard of in television to cast the same actor in a different role, especially in a universe that spans generations. Julia could return as Alexandra's daughter. or niece, or someone completely unrelated who just looks eerily similar. Maybe even a woman Spencer meets later in life, creating a haunting parallel to his lost love. Asterisk, this theory would let the writers explore themes of legacy and identity. What if Spencer meets a woman who reminds him of everything he lost? What if that brings up painful questions about choices, guilt, and second chances? Asterisk, the emotional potential is huge and Julia's strong screen presence makes her the perfect actress to pull off a multi-generational twist. Asterisk, what if Alexandra appears as a vision, a dream, a haunting presence that won't leave Spencer alone? Asterisk, if he's older in 1944, maybe even dying. It's not impossible to imagine Sheridan giving us one final scene, one where Spencer sees Alexandra in a dream or spiritual vision. In that moment, he speaks to her, apologizes, thanks her, or walks into the afterlife, finally at peace. Asterisk, this would be the most poetic way to end Spencer's arc, and it would bring back Julia in a way that's both meaningful and unforgettable. Asterisk. Sometimes, what happens behind the camera can be just as revealing as what happens in front of it. If we want to know whether Julia Schlaepfer is really returning in Yellowstone 1944, we need to take a closer look at the hints left behind online, in interviews, and even in casting movements. So, what exactly has Julia been up to since 1923 ended? Well, first, she hasn't been quiet, not completely. While she hasn't officially confirmed anything, fans have noticed a few suspicious details. In early fan Q&As and social media posts, Julia responded to some fan theories about Alexandra's fate with a playful, almost mysterious tone. She never gave a clear answer. She didn't say Alexandra was dead. She didn't say she was alive either. But she left the door open just enough to keep the speculation burning. One Instagram post in particular got fans talking. Julia shared a black and white photo of herself on set, not labeled, not explained, just a shadowy image in period-style costume. Some say it could have been leftover from 1923, but others noticed that her hair and makeup looked subtly different. And the background, it didn't match any scenes we saw in the original show. Could it be 1944? That leads us to the next piece of the puzzle. Taylor Sheridan himself. Taylor is a master of secrecy. He rarely confirms casting news early, especially for prequels. Remember how long it took before we knew Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren were locked in for 1923? The same could be happening here. If Julia Schlaepfer is involved in 1944, they're likely keeping it quiet for dramatic impact. A surprise appearance from Alexandra or a new version of her would be the kind of twist Sheridan loves to drop mid-season. Then there's the timing. Julia has not been heavily involved in other major projects since 1923. No major filming conflicts. No big press tour. That kind of availability often signals that an actor is keeping their schedule clear for something important or already working on it under tight NDA. There have also been whispers in casting circles that familiar faces from 1923 are being brought back for 1944, not just to play the same characters, but to anchor the emotional weight of the Dutton legacy. With Spencer likely returning in some form, bringing back Alexandra, his great love just makes sense from a storytelling angle. Even the fan communities are buzzing. Reddit threads, TikTok breakdowns, and YouTube speculations are filled with fans begging for closure or even demanding justice for Alexandra's character arc. This kind of energy doesn't go unnoticed by producers. If there's one thing the Yellowstone franchise does well, it's listening to its audience while still surprising them. So here's where we land. Julia Schlaepfer's return is not confirmed, but all the signs point to something big. Whether she's back as Alexandra, a haunting memory, a flashback, or even a new character altogether, her presence in 1944 would be both powerful and poetic. It would tie the emotional threads of 1923 to the harsh realities of 1944. It would bring closure to a love story that never got to finish. And it would give fans what they've been waiting for, a reason to believe that even in a world full of violence and betrayal, some love stories are too strong to stay buried. So, what do you think? Is Alexandra alive? Is Julia Schlaepfer secretly filming right now? Or is this just another beautiful heartbreak in the Yellowstone timeline? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, in the Dutton universe, nothing stays buried forever. Asterisk, in the vast world of Yellowstone, the land may be wild, the battles may be bloody, but it's always been the love stories that hit the hardest. Asterisk, Spencer and Alexandra weren't just another TV couple. They were the soul of 1923, a burning reminder that even in the darkest times, two people can find something pure, something real. Asterisk, and now, as we look toward 1944, we're reminded that some stories never truly end. Asterisk, whether Alexandra returns in the flesh, in a flashback, or in a vision, her impact is already carved into the Dutton legacy. She wasn't just Spencer's companion, she was the reason he kept fighting. She was the dream he held onto across oceans, wars, and loss. If there's any justice in Taylor Sheridan's world, she deserves more than a vanishing act. She deserves a final chapter, asterisk, and maybe, just maybe, that chapter is finally coming. Asterisk, so what would it mean if Julia Schlaepfer returns in Yellowstone 1944? Asterisk, it would mean closure for Spencer, for Alexandra, and for the millions of fans who still feel the ache of that unfinished story. It would mean seeing a woman who chose love over comfort, risk over security, and freedom over tradition return to remind us why the Duttons still matter. Asterisk, because this universe isn't just about cowboys and land. It's about what we fight for, what we hold on to, and who we refuse to forget. Asterisk, so now, it's your turn. Asterisk, drop your theory in the comments. Asterisk, is Alexandra still alive? Asterisk, will Julia Schlaepfer return as herself or as someone new? Asterisk, and what do you want from Yellowstone 1944? Asterisk, don't forget to subscribe for more Dutton drama, prequel predictions, and breakdowns of everything Yellowstone. This saga is far from over, and neither is she. Asterisk, because in this universe, asterisk, some ghosts don't haunt us. Asterisk, they guide us home. Asterisk.